Hare Krishna. So it's a pleasure to be here amongst all the devotees who are organizing this wonderful gathering. I'll be showing a presentation about the Eco Village. The last 7 minutes we have a video which encapsulates all of the details about what we are doing. In essence, since His Grace Gauranga Prabhu has also explained about the agriculture part. But before that, I would like to speak a little bit about what exactly is my understanding of all of these initiatives which Srila Prabhupada very much wanted us to do, and why is it that we are struggling all across the world when it comes to farms and farm communities. And my experiences and realizations about the challenge with self-sufficiency, which is such a buzzword. So, to begin with, the main purpose of ISKCON is transforming hearts. In the Shikshashtaka, Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahagama Nirvana. So my realization in ISKCON is when an ISKCON devotee is convinced about the mission, he can get inspired like no one else on this planet. And he can do impossible things possible. But the important condition is he must be convinced from the heart. Example, book distribution. Prabhupada said, if you want to please me, distribute my books. He pushed devotees to the book distribution and he connected the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness with Jivadaya, and practically the whole of ISKCON is convinced that we must distribute books. And the result of that was there were so many young people all over the world who were willing to take unimaginable and unprecedented risks, going into the Eastern Bloc, communist Russia, risking their lives, and really going out of their comfort zone and doing things which was amazing. So all of us know that the way ISKCON has distributed books is astonishing. And the reason being that when somebody is convinced fully and then they are willing to actually put their heart and soul into it. But the advantage in the book distribution model was the founder Acharya was personally there to demonstrate what to do, how to do, and it was a product which he himself wrote. So in that sense, it became an easier task in one sense. And then Srila Prabhupada said that we need to develop these communities, and it is my unfulfilled mission. And during the time when Prabhupada was there, various initiatives began. Okay. But the whole idea is, when you speak about ISKCON, Mahaprabhu said, Jivadaya is on the foundation of Nam Ruchi and Vaishnava Seva. So, when we have ISKCON's main mission as transforming hearts, the process for transforming hearts is association. So the mission is transformation, the process is association. So whether you take it Harinam, Bhagavatam, people coming and visiting and seeing the beautiful darshan of Radha Shyam Sundar, devotees going and serving others, and when you receive service, your heart gets transformed. When you offer seva, your heart gets transformed. And the fifth is visiting Dham. holy places. And in holy places, Srila Prabhupada created facilities for people to stay, because unless you have a facility to stay, where will you associate and how will you associate? As Bhaktichara Maharaj tells the famous story that someone told Srila Prabhupada, why you are constructing so many new temples? There are so many old temples which do not have proper caretakers. Why don't you take care of some of those older temples? They are heritage properties. And Prabhupada looked at this gentleman and said, who's this lady with you? And he said, she's my wife. Prabhupada said, why do you want her? He said, because I want a family, I want my children. Prabhupada pointed out a few children playing. And he said, there are so many children playing there. Why don't you adopt one of them? And this man said, I want my own children. Prabhupada said, like that, I want my own temple. And what was the idea of having one's own temple? Why Prabhupada created Krishna Balaram temple or Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir? Because when people come to the Dham, when they have a facility where they can associate with devotees in a holy ambience, in a spiritually surcharged, vibrant environment, their hearts get transformed. So ISKCON has only one core business, heart transformation. The methods to actually do this may vary. And all of these methods are powerful and potent as per time, place, circumstance and patra. Mantre nanena devasya kuryat dravyamaya kudha saparyam vividhe dravye desha kala vibhagavit. When Guru Maharaj, he received the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya from Narad Muni, he was sitting on the bank of Yamuna, received that mantra and he chanted that mantra, Mantrena anena devasya. But he did not have elaborate paraphernalia for worship. Kurya dravyamayim, so whatever dravya was available, using that, he made a deity of Krishna. Saparya vividhe dravya desha kala vibhagavit. As per time, place, circumstance, whatever was available, he used it so that he could worship Krishna and he attained perfection. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada began by establishing ISKCON in New York and then gradually in cities all over the world. They were the first ones to receive Krishna consciousness because the platform is already there. The city has money, city has infrastructure, facilities. But then Srila Prabhupada also wanted the fulfillment of Mahaprabhu's prediction, Prithviti Achayata Nagarandi Gram, Sarvatra Prachara Vaibhu Murana. So, in every town and village, the holy names must spread. Right? So, India's population is 122 crores, out of which 82 crore people live in villages. Right? So, ISKCON being a preaching movement, we are concerned with people. We are concerned with people, transforming people's hearts. And such a major chunk of Jivatmas are in rural areas. So naturally, there has to be a strategy by which ISKCON and ISKCON's message and Mahaprabhu's message is taken seriously by these people. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Sitakant Banerjee Lane in Kolkata as a Grihastha, he had a house in which he was staying on the ground floor. And the first floor of his house he had given out in rent to the Gaudiya Math. And the Gaudiya Math devotees would come and one of his godbrothers was there. His name was Dol Govind Shastri. And he was the one who was giving lectures on Sanskrit, teaching Sanskrit to Gaudiya Math brahmacharis. So one day, and Prabhupada's wife would not allow him to chant japa inside the house many times. So Prabhupada would come out on the side, sit on the staircase and chant on the outside. In Indian old houses you have from the ground floor to first floor, staircase going from outside. So Prabhupada was sitting and chanting japa. Dol Govinda Shastri came out and he said that I just gave a lecture to the Gaudiya Math brahmacharis on Prithvi Tyachayat Nagaradigram Sarvatra Prachara Vive Murana. In every town and village, the holy name will spread. But I am not really convinced whether it will ever happen. So Prabhupada was sitting next to him chanting japa. Prabhupada got up, walked down 2 steps, and Prabhupada said, well, if Mahaprabhu has said it, it will happen. Then Prabhupada took 2 more steps down, turned around, looked at Dol Govinda Shastri and said, someday a fool who surrendered at the lotus feet of Saraswati Thakur will make it happen. And Dol Govinda Shastri was also Saraswati Thakur disciple. So he started thinking, is he referring to me? And Prabhupada, without even Dol Govinda Shastri saying anything, Prabhupada looked at Dol Govinda Shastri and said, and it will not be you. So that time, Dol Govinda Shastri was thinking, what does Swami Maharaj, Abhay Babu think? He is going to do it. How can he do it? He is only a businessman. And the only thing he is always thinking about is money, money, money. So that was Prabhupada's branding in the Gaudiya Math congregation. That wherever money is, businesses, he would grow. Okay, but Srila Prabhupada's mission was to spread the holy name in every town and village. Prithvi Tyachayat Nagar Adi Gram. So therefore, we must appreciate that it's ISKCON's mandate to reach out not only to the conditioned souls in cities, but to also reach out to the conditioned souls in the villages. And in fact, all the conditioned souls living in cities, they are fully dependent on the produce coming from villages. And a Vaishnava has to be grateful. So therefore, gratitude means that we try to offer in reciprocation. That we are receiving all of these food and fruits and vegetables and grains and all kinds of facilities from those who are working hard in the villages. They are the farmers. They are the people who are actually doing all the hard work. And through the modern commercial transactional arrangement, we are receiving the benefits of that. So therefore, we must try our best to also, as a reciprocation, give in return what is the best we have with us. And that's the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the Harinam Sankirtan. That's the Bhagavatam. So we must try to offer that in return. But when we have to offer that in return, it is only possible when a person is willing to accept it. So how do you make someone favorable? Through association. When does a person become favorable for association? When he finds that here is my well-wisher, here is my friend, and here is someone who is relevant to my life. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, for making ISKCON relevant in cities, revolutionarily created the concept of restaurant and guest houses. Amongst Hindu temples of that time, it was quite a different concept compared to the dharmshalas in holy places, where people go and then they stay there and then take some meals, which is going on for a long time. But connected to a temple where deities are there, to have a restaurant which looks like any other fantastic restaurant in a city, with very nice ambience, with guest house like the guest house in Juhu, It can match with any of the 3-star restaurants anywhere in Mumbai. What was the idea of creating that? You don't have the traditional temples like Sri Rangam and all having a restaurant connected selling idli dosa. Right? Why Prabhupada created Govindas? So that people come, they participate in the eating of the prasadam. They may not find deities relevant, they find good food relevant. So then they interact, and through the process of interaction, they get a desire. Like I have examples that at Chopadi, one time one person just entered into the Govindas, and I was talking to someone in the restaurant, standing up. So he thought it's an ISKCON restaurant, so this guy must be a waiter. So he told me, okay, get me one dosa. So he thought he's like giving order for a dosa. I said, okay. I went in, gave an order for the dosa, and came back and continued talking to my guest. So then the actual waiter came out, and then he saw a new customer. He said, sir, what's your order? He said, I already gave order. I said, to whom? To this guy in saffron. He said, he's not a waiter, he's a preacher. He's a preacher? Oh, what does he preach? He said, Bhagavad Gita. I said, oh, I want to know Bhagavad Gita. Tell him to give me a lecture on Gita when I am eating my dosa. So the dosa came, and I started talking to him, and in the course of 10 minutes, he developed desire to visit the gift shop, and he took a bead band, and he just thought that, okay, let me experiment with something. So Prabhupada created restaurants so that people come in. It creates a platform for association. Through that association, transformation can happen. Okay. Otherwise, running a restaurant is a business in terms of the actual activity. Right? You have guest house and a restaurant. So, Ritz-Carlton is running hotels, Taj is running hotels, you have Kempinski Group running hotels, you have all of these big chains, who are running hotels, 5-star chains. They are running rooms, room service, restaurant in their connected to their guest rooms. So it's a business. Every ISKCON temple has a gift shop where we are selling merchandise, various kinds of paraphernalia. That's a business. So if you look at some of the activities of ISKCON temples, it may appear it is a corporate job to run a business. So similarly, why Prabhupada ran these things in the city temples? That yes, these activities are business-like, but the intention behind these businesses is to attract people to take association of ISKCON, because rich people are looking for opportunities to spend. So when you give rich people interesting opportunities and relevant opportunities to spend, they like you. Prabhupada was in Surat, and they said, please come to our house for lunch. Please come to our house for lunch. Prabhupada said on one condition, rupees 1111 membership. You become life member, I'll come to your house. And so many people became members, and Prabhupada said, usually you go somewhere to eat, you pay. But here they pay me. But what's the idea? It appears like a business, but the idea behind that is to attract people. Why? When does someone become attracted? When he finds it relevant. So when there is relevance, there is attraction. When there is attraction, there is association. When there is association, there is transformation. So that's the ultimate purpose. So therefore, ISKCON is not corporate, although some of its activities appear to be like corporate. Similarly, when you go in the rural area, many people may start saying, Arey, you are doing rural development, you are doing tribal development, you are creating employment, you are doing skill development, you are promoting organic farming, you are conducting training for organic farmers, you are networking with government for agricultural schemes in government. Arey, what is this going on? The responsibility of social development is government's, not yours. So has ISKCON become like government? So the same question which can be asked about ISKCON's activity in a city where it appears to be corporate, the same question can be asked about ISKCON's activity in village where it appears to function like government, or it seems that they are taking on certain responsibilities which authentically and originally belong to the government. And to give you an example, we are talking about self-sufficiency. In India, the government spends 1,45,000 crore subsidy for agriculture. So forget organic, inorganic, ISKCON, not ISKCON. If you have had a plate of food in India, it is only because the government has earned money from taxes, and using the taxpayers' money, they have subsidized the various fertilizers and insecticides and this and that, and written off loans of the farmers, and somehow made sure that a group of people still toil in the sun and the heat and the rain, get bitten by snakes while they are doing cultivation, but make sure that a plate of rice gets available. So therefore, we should know that the entire country is being subsidized as far as food is concerned. So, why do we enter into this space? We enter into this space because just like rich people are looking for opportunities to spend, poor people or those in the villages, they are looking for opportunities to earn. And when they get good opportunities to earn, or they see people are assisting them in their goal to earn, they consider them their allies, their friends. And when they see, here is a group of people who is helping me earn, their hearts open. So they want to associate. And when they start associating, then naturally, as the last slide Sanat Kumar Prabhu showed, there can be the transformation of Gita, Bhagavad, Harinam, and the village people get transformed. Right? So therefore, the mission in the city and the village is both the same. Only the details will differ as per time, place and circumstance of what is relevant in a city and what is relevant in a village. But we do not find Govinda's restaurant managers across India ever having a conclave to discuss how to do things. I have not heard in my experience in the last 50 years of ISKCON that Govinda's managers across India or world have come together. Why? Because they are making money. They are doing well. And they are not really looking for so much of inspiration because they are highly inspired already. Because it's a successful project. But in villages, to create intervention is highly challenging because the villagers by nature, they are very highly suspicious because they having been exploited for so many generations. They are very much suspicious about the intention of the so-called well-wisher. And therefore even government is at its wit's end. Because even government goes with money and with help and saying, "Arey, we want to help you." They say, "Hey, mind your own business. Who is this fellow?" That's why so many governments also are not able to do much. Of course, there is another aspect of the corruption and everything. So therefore, the challenge is that to create transformation, we want them to take association. How do we make them take our association? Is we create relevance. How do we create relevance? We also initiate activities in rural areas which the villagers feel are helpful to us, useful to us, and they want to collaborate. So this is the background behind why all of these rural initiatives are actually functioning, because if you are not very focused on the overall intention of the exercise, even the guy running Govindas may forget and become fully into a business mode, and a person running a rural project may forget and become government-like and get totally focused on the social development, forgetting that if I am able to create economy for the village, that's my success. Okay, so corporate and government both are concerned with economy. Corporates are interested to make the rich go richer, and the governments are concerned with helping the poor come from sub-zero poverty to zero-level poverty, or at least go above with finance. So they are both concerned with economy. We are concerned with transforming hearts. So therefore, all of these initiatives need to be strongly supplemented with spiritual program. And that's why it is so challenging, because so far in the first wave of 50 years, ISKCON has not attracted, ISKCON's main preaching has been in cities. So the foot soldiers and the volunteers we have are mostly from the cities. Therefore, at least a significant impact has been made in cities. But if we want significant transformation in villages and successful initiatives to be carried out in villages, we need to create the second wave where people from the villages are attracted. They take initiative and they are able to actually do things in a long-term sustainable manner. So it's a work in progress. We are moving in the right direction, but we should not feel discouraged with the slow progress. Because as I said, growing food has become so challenging that if the government does not subsidize by giving 1,45,000 crore, I don't know how, what that translates in terms of $1 million or whatever, but it's a huge amount. So let's face it, that this initiative, which we are all talking about, is something which is found, declared and proven challenging even for governments who have huge budgets and highly sophisticated trained bureaucracy and fully empowered and authorized government heads backed by constitutional laws. They are completely bewildered on how to create model villages. Okay, so therefore, when you understand that we are already in a difficult space, we won't feel discouraged with certain failures which may come along the way. So the overall degree of difficulty of the initiative we are undertaking should be clearly understood by us when we are moving in this direction. So this was a brief, gist of what I have realized in the last 6. I got involved in 2009, and this is 2015. So basically the idea of Govardhan Eco Village is something which His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, over the years he spent time at New Vrindavan. He heard from Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada had 5 purposes for New Vrindavan. First, agriculture, organic farming. Second, cow protection. Third, Vedic education, a center and hub for education. Fourth was a retreat center. Why retreat center? Because, if people want to experience Radha Shyam Sundar and the divine experience here, they need a guest house to stay. So if you want to come and experience a village, you need a place to stay. And if you create rural-like standards, then city people come take pictures and post it on Facebook. They won't stay in it. I have seen it practically. Because I created 6 houses. We created 6 houses of cob technology. Authentic, no cement used. But because no cement used, insects love it. Because it's eco-friendly means Jiva friendly. And we had put nice rice husk roof. So rice husk roof was loved by rats. So all nights rats would be playing kabaddi on the roof. And guests would come and demand that, "Arey, what is this? I couldn't sleep at night, and then scorpions and this and that and everything." So practically our guest house managers are demanding, demolish those cow houses and make houses with mud blocks with at least 8% cement. So at least these fellows won't come. Right? So we have found that when you make really authentic things, many people love to take pictures, but they're not used to experiencing that. So therefore we created, as part of retreat center, we have now 82 rooms, out of which 72 rooms are made with mud blocks, compressed stabilized earth blocks, CSEB. And Bangalore is a city which is really very successful in executing this technology, compressed stabilized earth blocks. I visited Auroville also. At Auroville there is Satprem Maini, who is an authority he is the pioneer of CSEB in India. Compressed stabilized earth blocks. But it all depends on the clay content in the soil and how you are able to deal with it. But it has got a great thermal effect. It creates a 5-degree difference in temperature. Very cool inside during summer and warm inside during winter. And it's like, analogy I can give is, you're wearing a plastic coat, So plastic coat means it doesn't allow any movement of air or ventilation. So we call it a breathing wall. So in terms of energy also, a regular wall with paint, the embodied energy is 72 megajoules per kilogram, out of which 67 megajoules per kilogram is only the embodied energy to create paint, because it's a petroleum byproduct. So when you have compressed stabilized earth blocks without using any plaster, paint, anything, low maintenance, because once they have done it, it's done. You don't have to keep repainting and replastering and this and that. And number two, it is only 0.475 megajoules per kg embodied energy compared to 72. So it's such a huge difference. So green buildings. And the fifth one is Vrindavan forest. Prabhupada wanted for New Vrindavan, a replica of Vrindavan. So that is also another project which we just completed with the blessings of the Vaishnava. So for education, we are running a Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth, which is a 2-year training program for brahmacharis in Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth. So in this way, these are the 5 initiatives which we have undertaken to try to showcase from the society's perspective solutions to food, water, energy and waste, but keeping Krishna in the center. And ultimately anyone who gets attracted, they ultimately get the message of Krishna. So therefore I see that compared to a city temple, a village project with a retreat center has 10,000 more preaching potency. Why? Because in a city temple, everyone knows this is a temple. If I am interested in visiting a temple, I will enter into its compound. If you have a retreat center over 100 acres, a person interested in trekking will come, a person just wanting to chill out on the weekend will come, a person interested in farming will come, a person interested in Ayurveda will come, person interested in animal protection will come, person interested in environmental will come, government will come. I am telling you, Prabhupada knew what he was doing. And therefore the 6th purpose of ISKCON, Prabhupada said, if we had just sustained with it, we would be consulting governments today. If we had not given up that effort all along, because people are looking for it. And therefore, when we say Dadati Pratigrinati Guhyam Akhyati, this becomes a great platform to interact with the government. Because the government is interested, because we are in the same business. 6 months back, I had gone to meet Pranab Mukherjee, Honorable President, and then initially we were talking about ISKCON and various things, and okay, he was looking at us. Didn't seem too much interested. He said, yeah, I already know ISKCON, I've been there. Then we started showing some of the things we are doing in villages. He immediately picked up that folder, started looking through it. And I was explaining, he said, I can read it for myself. There was silence in the room in Rashtrapati Bhavan for 2 minutes. 2 full minutes he went through each and every page. Why? Because that's his business. The government is interested. That is government scope. Going out there and helping the villages with economic development, social development, like that. So therefore, along with that, when we add spirituality, nothing like it. So therefore, we get an opportunity to transform not only conditioned souls who are common people, but also souls in bureaucracy, souls in ministers level, the governments in general. So, can I show that video now? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Proper values, the foundation is strong, and the team is willing to work together. So even if initially few people come forward and help to keep things going, when people see that something wonderful is manifesting, I give the example of the sparrow and Garuda, which Prabhupada mentioned, that you keep trying at your level, but just by seeing that very sincere attempts are being made by a group of committed people and who are guided by the right principles. The power of principles, but the power of doing things based on values and principles is so strong that even we may be insignificant and we do in one small patch, but if you keep struggling like sparrow, especially with respect to our financial resources, then Garudas get attracted. And they say, okay, why they are struggling so much? Let us come forward and help. So therefore, it may not make a whole lot of sense if you make a business plan, but the way it may work is we really strive to our level best to attract the higher powers, which is very consistent with our model of devotional service. Through our efforts, we attract higher powers. So that's what I wanted to conclude with my talk. Thank you.
So we thank Gauranga Prabhu by loudly chanting. Very interesting experiment that they have done in northern Eco village. Lots to learn, and probably the take-home point is to be relevant and outreach program. We now have Sabyasachi Prabhu. So it's now 1:35.